This is Warped Tour San Diego. It must be Dan Jacobs at Trady. What's up?
I'm doing good. You doing all right?
Oh man, it's all right. Like, what number Warped Tour is this for you?
It's number 2.
Is that right?
Yeah.
When was the first one?
2005.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
A little 10-year span in between?
Yeah.
I know you guys took a break, and I know you were probably missing the fans, missing the roar of that crowd.
Of course.
You know, tell us about that process of, you know, was it just you just really had to recharge the batteries or what?
Yeah, I mean, we've been touring nonstop since we were teenagers, you know, and I think we were just kind of burning ourselves out a little bit, and I think it was time to, like you said, recharge the batteries a little bit and kind of see how green the grass was on the other side.
Sure.
And I don't know, just refresh ourselves a little bit and get excited about it again, so we're not doing it because we want to, not because we feel like we have to.
Sure. I know it got to be a grind, you know, going from Victory. Was it Hollywood, or what was the label?
Hollywood was the last one we were on, yeah.
Okay. I know there's some kind of pressures with the Disney camp, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely a different world, especially for a band like us.
I know, man. They seem to have the Disney stars over there. All of a sudden, a big, you know, hard rocking band comes in there. You know, it's kind of hard to speak the same language, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was. It definitely made us stand out a lot from the rest of the pack, which was kind of a cool vibe.
Yeah. Now, tell us about the current situation. What's the current record? Who you guys, you know, recording with? Tell us about the team you guys assembled now.
Well, we're on a label now called Spine Farm Records, and we just released back in September an album called Long Live. It's our sixth full-length studio album. And
are they out of Sweden or Norway, or where's Spine Farm out of?
Yeah, they're based out of New York.
Okay.
But they're under Universal, so they're kind of.
But I mean, I think the parent company's like Scandinavia, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Because I know Michael Monroe, and there's I see even the band Airborne is on Spine Farm.
Yeah, and Santa Cruz as well.
Yeah, Santa Cruz, bunch of that. Now I know you were a big fan of that '80s rock, man. LA definitely rocked the world. You know, we celebrated. You know, a number of bands that came out of LA that really rocked the world, you know. Tell us about growing up in Southern California during the 80s, you know, what that was like for you to see some of the bands that were like local, that were really, you know, huge all over the planet.
For me, I mean, in the 80s, it was mostly seeing it like on MTV. I'd be flipping through the channels and come across like Guns N' Roses or Def Leppard or something and be like, oh, what is this, you know? But I don't think it was really till like early 90s for me that it really kicked in, where I heard the band Warrant for the first time, and that was the first time I like really got to full-blown ingest like 80s kind of style rock, metal, whatever you want to call it, and that kind of set me off for a little while.
Yeah, well, so you're rocking the vintage Leopard shirt.
Oh yeah.
I did an interview over at Phil Collins' house. He lives like up in the Irvine Hills, man. What a nice guy he is, and you know, it's amazing to see bands like that sell zillions of records but still really humble.
Yeah, no, it's a rare breed and a special breed.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you see assholes that they think they're walking on water because they're selling out the local club, and then sometimes you meet the guys that are really doing it big, and they still feel like they're in the garage, you know?
Yeah, they don't got anything to prove anymore, you know?
Yeah, it's like doing it for the love of it.
Absolutely.
So now, what motivates you at this point? Obviously, it's great to feel the fan reaction and all that, but you know, when you get up to play, write the next song, you know, what's your greatest motivator?
I just love music. You know, it's my favorite thing in the whole world, and I've been addicted to it since I was a kid. And I've always been you know, someone who analyzed it when I was younger. Like I never went to shows because I wanted to like rock out in the crowd and sing along. I always went to like watch the band so I could see what they were doing, so I could figure out how to get up there on stage. That was more interesting to me. So I don't know, just the fact that I get to get up every day and like interact with tons of different bands that all do something like I do, and get to meet all these people that have the same love and passion for music that I do. It's that's inspiring in itself and keeps me wanting to keep going and enjoying it.
Sure, especially on the Warped Tour, everybody's in the catering line together. Everybody's hanging out with all the buses and vans back here. You know, like they say at the Warped Tour, there's no room for rock stars, man. If you got the attitude, you might as well take it elsewhere, because it's a real community here.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands, a lot of crew, a lot of people all working together to make this punk rock summer camp come together, you know, so it definitely isn't room for egos or anything.
Now, all that you've seen and gone through, what advice do you have to the young players coming up, young bands? You know, they think there's a shortcut, you know, with this internet age. What do you school them to let them know that the greats really paid their dues. They took a long time to be great.
I mean, a lot of it's just being yourself, being different, you know, not trying to sound exactly like anything else that's going on. If you just start following something, you end up being a follower and not a leader, you know. So the bands that stand out the most, the bands that have the most longevity, are the ones that are signature bands where you hear them, you're like, I know exactly who that is, and that doesn't sound like anybody else. And if you hear anything else similar to it, it's because that band copied them and not vice versa, you know. So there's a lot of bands like that, and very few, I guess, in the big picture, but I mean, a lot of these bands, I don't think a lot of them realize that and are trying too hard to sound like, they just kind of sound like something that's been done a million times over, and that's what you're doing. You're never going to be anything that great.